There's a code of ethics for the conservation field that we adhere to as far as possible. You have to try and do as little treatment as is necessary, and you have to always honor the artist. I'm the Jane Lang Davis Chief Conservator at the Seattle Art Museum, and I oversee conservation and care of the collections here at the museum. A conservator is responsible for the care and maintenance of collections, and that involves both preventive conservation, and it also involves conservation research and treatment of the works of art. An interesting thing about this artist is the way that he mixed sand into the paint to give it texture and to catch the light. And you can really see it here, where you get these real chunks of unmixed material in the paint. I was always drawn to art from a small child. I was drawing and making art as a kid. And I think as I became a teenager, I became really interested in other artists' work and how they made it. And so for me, that was probably the big draw into conservation, was understanding how art was made. I first got into doing art conservation in graduate school. So I had taken a bachelor's degree in the history of art. So the options that I was pursuing were either studying art history as a master's or conservation. And I liked the idea of working with both my hands and with my head, and conservation seemed to sort of fit that bill. So we are responsible for conservation at the 3 museum sites, so downtown, the Olympic Sculpture Park, and the Asian Art Museum. Here we are at the Seattle Asian Art Museum, and this is a set of Japanese screens which has just come in for consideration for acquisition. And part of that process, we look really closely at the screens and evaluate the condition and the techniques. At the Sculpture Park, the collections have very particular needs, and we think of those large modern sculptures, maybe made out of steel, painted steel or bronze, as being pretty durable. But it's quite a punishing environment for a work of art to be in that uncontrolled environment. We are down there cleaning. I mean, not everything gets cleaned once a week, but pretty much we're down there cleaning all the time. So currently we're very excited to be working on preparations for the Frisson exhibition, which comes to Seattle Art Museum this fall. Frisson means kind of a thrilling feeling in French, and we are thrilled because it will bring to the galleries the Richard Lang and Jane Lang Davis collection, which brings extraordinary works of post-war American and European art to the SAM collection. The way that we determine whether a painting needs treatment is through the examination. There are 1 or 2 paintings in the Frisson exhibit where we have some lifting paint. When you find that, you have to set that paint down, otherwise you risk it flaking off and losing it. On the large Joe Mitchell, for example, I'm doing a consolidation treatment, we call it, where we set down the flaking paint and re-adhere it to the surface. And then that painting will also be cleaned front and back, and we're reframing that painting as well. I'll swing around and walk around the far side of the table. That is pretty good, 3/4.
Okay.
You get emotionally attached to the works of art when you're working on them, particularly if it's a conservation that happens over a long period of time. And what you also get is a really great feeling for the way that artist works. Neat things here that you can see are the fingerprints of the artist, which are all over the back. When you see things like that, you really have the feeling that you're getting close to the artist. It's almost like learning a language. It's something that can only happen through long exposure to a particular artist's brushstrokes or, materials. The most gratifying aspects of the work are really going into the gallery and seeing members of the public in the gallery looking at and enjoying the works of art, and knowing that they'll enjoy that for generations to come.
Frisson, the Richard E. Lang and Jane Lang Davis collection, is a must-see and will be up at Sam's downtown location now through November 27th, 2022. Catch Art Zone Friday nights at 8 and anytime online at seattle.gov/artzone.